I'm such a huge fan too, by the way. I'm
Oh
excited.
my gosh, I'm so excited to do this. I am I was requesting being on here. I'm sure you're aware. Very seriously, I said we need to add another press day so that I can
Oh
be
my
on
God. You're the
your
best. You're the best. Okay, let me introduce you. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everything Iconic with me, Danny Pellegrino. I'm here with Zoey Deutch, star of Something from Tiffany's. I watched this movie twice. I loved it so much. I'm a huge rom-com junkie. I'm a huge Christmas movie junkie specifically. I think this has sort
I'm
of the
really
best.
sorry. My dog is like having a nervous breakdown. That's what that noise
Oh,
was. So sorry. Okay, now she's sitting down. Okay,
I
sorry.
love it. I love it. No, I was just saying I'm a huge Christmas movie fan. I love that this movie incorporates all like the holiday spirit of everything with a little romance. To me, that's like the best of both worlds. But Zoe, how are you doing?
I'm great. I'm very happy and excited to be on your podcast.
Yeah, I can't wait to talk to you. Now, I am friends with, I don't know if Katie Silberman, who wrote Set It Up, one of my all-time favorite recent rom-coms. I think it was so incredible. It's you and Glenn Powell. That movie is, I believe, Netflix. It's to me the most rewatchable rom-com of the past maybe 10 years or so. And I think that's really the most important thing. But I texted Katie last night and I was like, I'm interviewing Zoe. Like, what could anything special I could ask from that movie? And she told me specifically to ask you about the food props and your character in that movie. She was saying, she said, ask her like which food prop she was most excited about. And she said you were, I think, like ordering Postmates and stuff to set. Can you tell me about that?
I might have taken advantage of Netflix being it being early days for Netflix and really using their company card. I might have taken advantage of it a little bit. No, I would use meals in the scene, but they would also be my meals. But there would be a lot of them. And if you notice and Set It Up, I'm pretty much eating the entire movie. And that's mostly because I'm always hungry. But I, I would order bar pity. I'd order carbone. I would order pasta like 3 times a day. And it played a very integral part in that movie. I did get to a point where my costumes no longer fit me. There's a scene where Glenn and I are doing the food dye scene, and I'm wearing a white button up. And in part of it, I think they used a take from, when we shot one take with the button up that I had originally been fitted for, and then we realized you could sort of see my tits. So the buttons were so like the shirt did not fit at all. So we had the costume designer had to go out and get another shirt for me, and then we continued shooting. But I regret nothing. I regret nothing. Sorry, I'm a tyrant. Sorry, I love food.
Well, and by the way, I feel like those were the earlier days of Netflix, and they were just it's seemingly throwing money around all over the place.
I'm mostly joking. It wasn't that expensive, and they definitely weren't throwing money around. Here's the thing, the truth too, is that when you're eating in a scene, you have to eat a lot of it. And if you're not on top of it, and if you're not really in communication constantly with the props department and the producers and everybody, you end up getting very sick because you're eating, and it sounds obnoxious. I'm like, oh, poor me, I'm eating bad food. But really, if you're eating food that is not good and you have to eat 12 portions of it, it's pretty tough. Speaking of food, I threw up on that movie because I ate so much pizza, but it was nice. I had Joe's pizza. It was great. But that pizza scene that Glenn and I had, Glenn got gluten-free and he was being careful and he was spitting them out in between takes and whatever. I ate multiple pies and I got very sick. So, it was life imitating art or art imitating life. They had drunk too much in the scene. And so I wanted to really feel.
Wait, were you drinking in the scene too? Was there booze involved?
Oh my God, no, I would never drink. I would never drink on set, ever, ever, ever. I'm always shocked when actors say that they can do that. If you're shooting a scene where you're drunk I'm shocked when I hear people can do that. I would be terrible.
I always think of the story from Practical Magic. Have you seen that with Nicole Kidman and Sandra Bullock? It's a Halloween movie and they have the midnight margarita scene. And Nicole and Sandra famously have talked about how they got really drunk during that scene because they were just late at night shooting it and making margaritas. And just the idea of that, I was like, I wish I could be on set for that. Sounds so much fun.
I think it's a cute idea, but I would not condone it. And I bet it was the only time they ever did it because it's not a good idea. I don't know. I think I have a very hard line in the sand with that. I think it's it's an interesting thing. You would think that drinking, if you're shooting a scene when you're drunk, would make you better. But the thing is about being drunk or is you're actually playing against it. Because when you're drunk, you're trying to act not drunk. You're trying to make your words sound like, you're doing your best to present yourself like you're not drunk. So you actually want to play against it. Yeah. It's like how when you're about to cry, usually people don't want it. They're stopping themselves from
They're
crying.
trying to hold it back. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like it's the opposite, really.
Back to the food thing. I think food is such an underrated element of a lot of movies. And I noticed that with Something from Tiffany's too, because you have the whole bread element. And one of the things that I love most in a Christmas movie or a rom-com are sort of like the food porn. I think about like It's Complicated, for instance, with the croissants and Meryl and Steve making the foods. And so, I mean, speaking of you eating on the set of Set It Up, I just think it's an underrated element of these sort of comfort movies that sometimes there are missed.
I also, or like in Not Okay, which was a movie I did.
You were so fucking good in that, Zoey.
Thank you so much. That movie, she's a mess. So I wanted her to, and I would come to work every day with a bag of snacks, and I would put them in her apartment, and I would always before a scene, if I was in the apartment, I would take Doritos or whatever chips I had, whatever, and I'd make. They would call it like my crumb. I was like a professional crummer because I would always put crumbs all over myself. And whether or not you see those details or care about those details, they're fun for me. They're the things that make it exciting, honestly. And yes, it can be a little bit more annoying with continuity. And yes, there's more thought that goes into it. But for me in my life revolves around food, and to imagine a movie where there is no food or a person without food, like you're always coming from somewhere, going to somewhere, you always have a drink or you always have your phone in your hand. Props are so vital and integral in my process. And I guess I really haven't thought about it in this much depth, to be honest, but I haven't like connected the dots like the way you are about how it is in every single.
Well, it's important for those movies. I think food porn specifically in a comfort film, whether it be a rom-com or a Christmas movie or something that has that sort of rewatchability factor. I always notice, and I'm a writer myself, and I just always think with that kind of movie, I need to be able to see food porn on screen. And the same way, I think that with Christmas too. And one of the things I love about this, Something from Tiffany's, is like you get a little Christmas or twinkle lights on the screen all the time. And sometimes I'll see something that's set at Christmas and they don't have those visual elements that I think are really adding to this. Even I was just watching The Family Stone. I love that movie. And it's not necessarily like the most glamorous house, but it's the coziest house. And so you kind of want to live in that Diane Keaton house, even though, I don't know, it's not like a huge mansion or anything like that. It's just cozy visually. And I think that's one of the things that I love about escaping into that movie. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. The thing about you said about the twinkle, it made me think of today. I was on the phone with someone and they said, hey, you have a movie that just came out, right? A Christmas movie. And I was like, yeah, I do. And they were like, is it actually a Christmas movie? And I was like, well, I'm Jewish, but it's still a Christmas movie. They're like, no, that's not what I'm saying. Like, does it actually take place in Christmas? Because I'm sick of it. People market these movies that are Christmas and then it like the beginning starts at Christmas and then it flash forwards 3 months. And I'm like, that's not a Christmas movie. And he was like really upset about it. And I was like, what? Yeah, it's a Christmas movie. There's twinkly lights.
Yeah, there's twinkly lights. Wait, so I know you produced this. Did you, were you a fan of sort of the genre beforehand, or when you were coming into this project, like what were sort of the touchstones you were like, we have to have this, whether that be from the Christmas movie aspect angle or the rom-com kind of angle? Like what were the touchstones that you felt like we need that?
Okay, well, I guess I should, accidentally, as a result of Katie Silberman being a freak genius, I got lucky enough to be put in a really amazing rom-com. And then from that point on, I just got a lot of rom-com scripts sent my way, which I didn't quite connect to in the way that I connected with Katie's. And it wasn't of priority or that much of interest to me to make another one until, obviously until it felt right or until it felt like it was a good match. And Reese Witherspoon, who's my dream mentor, my total idol forever, reached out she had seen Set It Up, and she was like, I want to make a beautiful feel good romantic movie with you. Like, I want to do this, like this. I want more movies like this. And who better on planet Earth to collaborate with for that kind of movie than her? And so it was a process. Her company was sending me stuff for a little bit and different books and scripts, and I would send them stuff. And then they sent me something from Tiffany's, which I loved because it felt so, to me, it really is more, yes, it's the rom-com genre, but it feels more like a romantic holiday movie. I love comedy, but I felt like this veered more towards like just pure romance and like beautiful, sweet romance and holiday vibes. I'm not being very articulate. Sorry, I've slept like 4 hours. But so it felt different. It didn't feel like I was doing another rom-com, even though I know, no, it's probably to you, you're like, you're dumb, this is a rom-com. I felt like it was something
I get it.
And I loved it, and I thought it was beautiful, and I cried and I laughed, and I was like, okay, this is the one. I would love to do this with you guys. And to be able to, I had produced 3 movies before, but to be able to partner with them and on this one was really exciting, and I learned a lot, and the whole experience matched the outcome of it. Like, it was a very lovely, wonderful, gushy, warm, happy shooting experience, and the movie is like a warm, lovely, gushy movie, which is, I think, rare. But yeah, so I've been involved in this one for a couple of years now.
You talked about Reese Witherspoon. I found this quote from I think it was a 2017 interview you did, which I'm assuming was probably linking up with her, but you had said she's constantly making efforts to empower and raise up other women. She is a woman that loves other women. I have the utmost respect for her. I don't know her, but if there's someone where I'm just completely confused by their absolute perfection, it's her. And I just thought that must have been so, I don't know. I sort of believe in all of that, kind of like you put something out into the universe and then it comes back to you. But so I must imagine it been really exciting to work with her and talk about someone who knows that sort of comfort film genre. Yeah. She just does it so beautifully. And what I love about Reese is that she is able to kind of go in between different projects and do like some of the heavier dramas she's able to do. She's got a new one with Ashton Kutcher coming out on Netflix next year that's more romance. But I think it's not a lot of people have that kind of charm on screen. And I feel I'm not just bullshitting you or blowing smoke or whatever, but I feel like you have that more so than anyone that I've really seen in a really long time, like the way that you're able to have chemistry with just about anyone, it seems. And I just think, I hope that you keep sort of embracing that genre or this genre or whatever, because you're just so fucking good at it, Zoey.
That's very sweet. I really appreciate that. I think there's a tendency with artists in general to like not lean in to what people want, which is really interesting. It's like you want to constantly be proving yourself. You want to constantly prove to people, that you can change, you can shift, you can be, everything that they thought you couldn't. And I would be lying if I said I didn't fall into that category. But I think, with this, I was so proud and excited to make it and to lean in, and the movie is doing really, really well. And I'm just, I'm very grateful, and I definitely will make another happy movie. I definitely make. It's interesting because I've made more movies where I play like full blown scammer.
Look, we like those too, Zoey. I'm just here to advocate for this genre too.
No, I know. No. I have to do both because I'll go crazy if I do too much of one or the other. But I think it's time for me to do. What I'm saying is that I've got to do like a musical or like a horror.
Oh, do you sing? Now. Wait, do you sing?
I do sing.
Okay, we need to get that happening.
Musical or a horror musical. How?
Also, wait, I just had read that you had auditioned for the White Lotus season 2 for the Portia role. I think it was in BuzzFeed or something. You had said that, and people were mistaken because the two of you look a lot alike. The Haley Lou Richardson, is it? It is. So I auditioned for it. I was actually in Hawaii when I was auditioning for it. So I was like, it's perfect. I'm going to get it. It feels so like, and then I didn't get it, but it was a very fun audition, to be honest. I love auditioning. I'm a weird person. I've actually never done a part, in a job that I haven't auditioned for, except for the ones that I've produced. I love it. I think it's so fun. I always learn something, and it's really scary, but, But you're a fan.
I'm a fan because as an actor, you actually don't really get that much time to act. Like most of your life, you're not acting. So any opportunity to like exercise that muscle, I'm terrified, but I'm like, this is great. I got to push through. But anyway, that was not what you asked me. Yes, I auditioned, and yes, Haley is the best.
She was so good. Yeah,
we're dear friends and are actively trying to. If anyone is listening,
we play sisters,
and knows of an amazing movie where there are two great sister parts. Me and Haley want to do it, and we are looking.
You guys would be so good together.
My boyfriend was like, I don't see it. I don't think you guys look alike. And then he saw us at a party together, and he was like, we have a lot of energy, the both of us. Like, we are both like vibrating with energy. And he was like, oh, yeah, no, you guys are possibly separated at birth.
I would love to see like a holiday drama, like a coming home drama for, I love that I
want a full blown drama. MUGH.
Did you watch The White Lotus season 2? Were you able to watch it, or were you like, I can't, I don't want to?
No comment.
Okay. Yeah, too raw. Okay.
I'm pushing for season 3, guys.
You know who I want to start doing this rom-com genre is Megan Fahey. I loved her on that, and I feel like, but anyway. Okay, so what do you think it is about this genre that people latch on to? I mean, you said this movie has been a huge success already for Amazon. It's so much comfort viewing, but like, what do you think that the audience latches on to?
In terms of this movie or rom-coms in general?
Something from Tiffany's. Yeah.
Oh, well, look, I think, and this was my intention. So, and so I hope this is it translated. I wanted it to feel classic and timeless, and beautiful and aspirational, but also like with a fun twist and make it feel modern and cool. And I was kind of a stickler about the aesthetic of it, which I think people are responding to, which I like. I'm happy. Like, we had the most amazing DP. His name's Bryce Fortner. Made everything beautiful and warm, and like a lot of like orange and red tones, and we used all these cool lenses, and the costume designer just like great vintage pieces, and you like coats that are from the 90s and whatever, that are worn, that feel like somebody lives in New York, and like the detail. I think sometimes rom-coms can look like flat and not aspirational and kind of get cheesy, and people, they just like, everything looks like glossed over, which maybe that's nice for some people. I don't like it. I want it to look real, and I want it to look beautiful, and I care a lot about that. Just because it's feel good and happy doesn't mean it has to be cheesy and like not aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah.
Not that like I'm judging a book by its cover, but I do really care. Filmmaking, that's such an integral, important part of it. And so I'm happy. It feels like people are responding to that and like that. And I think people are responding to the food element, like you said. And I think people are responding to that there's no bad guy, like everybody's just sort of, you're either meant to be or you're not, which is nice. Like there's no...
and two hot men, really, by the way. Kendrick Sampson, who plays your love interest, he's from Insecure. He was great on that show.
And that is what I should have led with. Two hot men.
And also, wait, so this blew my mind because I watched it twice. I told you, but the second time I watched it, I was like, this guy looks so familiar, and it's Jack Nicholson's son. And I'm like, holy shit, he looks so much like him.
Identical.
Yeah, like that's wild. Very attractive.
Yeah, it looks identical to his father. It's uncanny.
I know your parents, Leah Thompson and Howard Deutch.
Talk about Nepo babies. You've got two.
But I was going to ask, has either of your parents ever worked with Jack Nicholson?
I don't know. I haven't asked. Maybe my dad had crossed paths with him at some point. I'm sure they knew each other, but I don't know if they've ever worked together.
I know your dad worked extensively. He directed 2 of the most brilliant John Hughes movies, 16 Candles and Some Kind of Wonderful, right?
Pretty in Pink.
Pretty in Pink, yeah. And I'm so fascinated by John Hughes. I mean, what a brilliant writer he was. And he was able to capture that time period and also the Midwest so beautifully. I don't know. Both your parents are brilliant, but I'm sure your dad has great John Hughes stories.
It's funny with my parents, to be honest, I don't know much about their careers or their lives. We didn't like sit down on Friday night and be like, Papa, tell me about Hollywood, in the way that maybe people would think. And I guess it's a shame because they do have extraordinary stories to tell, but I really only hear them when other people tell me, or like there's been a couple instances where there's been Q&As that I've gone to for things and they've said stuff and I've been like, really? Are you guys lying for like to say that? No, that happened, but gosh, I'm so proud to be their kid. They're the best people. They work so fucking hard. I haven't seen my dad in 6 months. He's been on location shooting. My mom, I just saw last night for the first time in 4 months. She was shooting. She's directing a lot now. Like they hustle so hard. They work so hard. They're so good at their jobs. They're so kind to people. It's obviously there's a lot of conversation. I said Nepo babies, but there's a whole thing circulating about it. And like what's so interesting for me is I never shied away from talking about it. And I actually feel just like I feel my heart being warm right now. Like I feel so proud and grateful for the privilege of being raised by artists and all the doors that were opened for me. Like I'm so lucky and I know that. And they're the best. So
and they both seem like very well-grounded and wonderful human beings from the outside, at least.
Totally fucking nuts too.
I'm sure.
No.
Yeah, I always remember your mom from Back to the Future. I think that was so important. And I was like, I wonder, I guess you wouldn't watch those movies because why would your mom put on Back to the Future or something?
Right.
It'd be weird.
And then I remember actually very early, I was like one of my first interviews I did, it was for Vanity Fair, like the Vanities thing, which used to be a huge deal. Magazines now really, unfortunately, don't mean anything to anyone, but it was a huge deal back 10 years ago. And it was a page in Vanity Fair. Anyway, I was like the up and coming person. And you only have a couple of questions to answer. And I said something it just came across so rude. They were like, have you seen? I was like, no, I've never seen any of my parents' movies. And it just sounded so ungrateful and gross. And like I was almost like bragging about not caring about my parents' hard work. And then from there on out, when I saw that's the thing I think people don't realize, which is so interesting. I don't need to get into this. But anyway, I after that moment, I was like, I should watch my parents' stuff. I should be more invested, in their careers and care more because it's hard, because it's a hard business to be in and they've lasted a long time. It's
so interesting to me. You sort of stopped yourself there. You were saying something and I feel like celebrities now, you must be so in your head about being interviewed all the time because something you could say could be so taken out of context. Like you were saying with that interview, you weren't meaning any shade towards your parents.
Actually, what I was going to say, yes, that's true. But actually what I was going to say is if there's anyone listening who goes to therapy, and if you've ever had a therapist that repeats things back to you that you've said, and I have one therapist who's really extraordinary. She's a specific type of therapist. And I basically will rant the way that I am right now for 15 minutes. And she'll simplify like in a sentence what I've said and what my actual, what did I just say really? And I will be shocked at what I said to her, even though it all
interesting.
True. And it's a very painful experience to think that you're conveying something and to say you're saying something and then you read it back and you're like, holy shit, is that how I sound? It's a very spiritually conflicting and painful, not to get like, just weird. Imagine if you were, I know you understand, but speaking and then read it back 3 months later and you were like, that's what I don't know. Sometimes it's taking out of context, sure. And sometimes it's not.
Yeah, sometimes it's actually what you said and you're like, holy fuck, I talk like that.
Like, what the fuck? I said that? That doesn't feel like truthful to me. And that's even weirder.
Yeah. No, it happens. Editing this podcast sometimes because I'll listen back and I'm like, holy shit, I didn't mean to say it like that or whatever. Yeah, but it happened. Or people will reach out and say like, I can't believe you said that. It's like, I didn't mean it like that. I hope no one thought I meant it like that.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Of course you have that all the time, I'm sure. But
I think you're like a big star. So I feel like that pressure must be exhausting. You're
a big star.
Yeah, well, thank
You
you.
are a big
No, I
star.
love you. I love you. Wait, wait, just to get back to big stars. So did Jack Nicholson ever like call in to set or something? Like, I just want to imagine that Jack was just showing up.
He didn't, but I definitely did tell Ray that, I am a super fan.
Is his dad retired? Is Jack retired now?
I think he is.
That's not okay with me.
I mean, honestly, he's a huge, when people go like, were there actors that you watched that, I sort of point to like Katharine Hepburn and Jack Nicholson as like the two actors where I was, because he played such horrible people constantly. And I loved him. And I was like, whoa. And that is, with these characters like in Buffaloed or Not Okay or Flower, I don't think they're horrible, but other people perceive them to be. And I really think he was the inspiration for wanting to go down that. Yeah, the blueprint. I mean, he's the greatest. He's the greatest.
I mean, even in like Something's Gotta Give, he's an asshole.
He's an asshole.
But you still want them together at the end. I don't know. I love that movie so much. So much. Wait, so what do you watch? Like, what are your kind of comfort movies? What are the ones that you're watching on TV and you'll stop if it's on, or something you put on? Do you have those?
Yeah, I do. But right now, all of it's on hold because I've gone into a deep, deep, deep Love Island problem. So like, I can't watch anything. I can't get invested in any movies. I can't do anything except for Love Island. I don't know if you watched it. I know obviously you're big on
Housewives,
Bravo vibes, but have you ever watched Love Island?
No, my boyfriend watches it and I haven't been able to get on board. I do worry that I would love it too much. Like, I just know that I won't be able to stop. Like, I get the way that I am with Bravo. It's like I get addicted and then all of a sudden I'm starting a show about Love Island and I'm talking about it nonstop. So
I would love your advice also about what Real House, like, where do I start with that? Because
I know
I couldn't. Okay.
You were on Watch What Happens Live with Tinsley too, which I want to know about, like how that was.
I watched like a season. I like binge watched it. It's funny you say that. My friend who's obsessed with you was like, "Say that you met Tinsley." I was like, I wasn't even. That was a long time. I was like, I'm not gonna like go on a deep dive about Tinsley. Like,
no, that's what we like.
No, because that's not truthful to me. My truth is that I am deeply, deeply invested in Love Island and think it's made me a better person. I think that Love Island has made me a better person, and I'll tell you why.
Why? Do you do the UK or there's two versions, right? Or
I would never do anything other than UK. I would be a monster and you would have to end this podcast right.
That's what Matt watches. He watches the UK version and my boyfriend will start to talk like them. Like they have that.
Right.
Yeah.
We have
Or he always says to me, "Can I have a cuddle?" Or I can't do it.
Right. It's so funny to me because all they do is have a chat. Like, especially in season, I think it's like 6. There's nothing that actually happens. They're just having a chat. So when they're having a chat, they're just chatting about having the next chat and nothing happens. And it's the funniest.
That's how Housewives is too, though. It's like, let's, we need to meet to talk this out. It's like, let's schedule another meeting to talk about this. It's like, well, you're talking right now. Like, just talk about it there.
Talk about it there. It's my favorite thing in the world. It's made me a better person because maybe that something about this resonates with you, maybe not. My brain truly goes into like a meditative state. I truly relax and I have this aura ring, this fucking stupid aura ring that's controlling my life that like tells me my
Yeah, you sleep with it. It tells you how you sleep and everything, right? Yeah.
It also tells you your heart rate, stuff. I like am literally sent into like a Zen mode. Catatonic, pure meditation, no amount of real meditation or like real like self-help and sound baths and hypnotherapy could ever compare to the true feeling of like Zen when I watch Love Island UK season 3 alone or when I watch Kardashians with my best friend Carver. Those two.
I totally agree. Yeah.
And then the reason it makes me better is because I come out of that and then I'm able to truly be like, it's like cobwebs were cleared. And I know for people that don't watch reality TV, they're like, no, you're creating cobwebs. I'm like, no, you don't get it.
No, it's an escape. And I always feel like I'm the same way with Housewives. And there's something really soothing to me about the women on screen and all the drama coming out on the show that I'm watching. Because I'm not dramatic in real life, but I get it all out of my system when I'm sitting down for that hour. And I'm never at more peace. And did you watch the Kardashians on Hulu, like the new one?
Of course.
What are you thinking about it?
What am I thinking?
Do you like the move to Hulu?
I love it.
Yeah.
You don't? I love the whole thing.
No, I do. I
love that. I feel like, I love the more like you see the crew, and I love I love all of it. I am a Kardashian super fan.
Okay, but so Kim had just recently tweeted, like, what do you guys want to see next season? And people were responding because some people like the hijinks, some people like the drama, some people like the glamour. And my opinion of the last season on Hulu was that it started to feel like a little too glamorous. And I'm happy, and I like the wish fulfillment of it, but then there got to be a point where I was feeling like gross. Like every time they were going to plan the wedding, Kravis was going to do the wedding, and it was just like getting a little too over. Am I making sense?
Oh, 100%.
It was too much.
To me, I like. Oh, yeah. I mean, like the spectacle of it all is what I love. That's the escapism. Like, it's how I imagine what maybe people used to love about the royal family. Like, it just looked, I mean, I know I'm going to get in trouble for comparing, but the way that I'm not comparing them to I'm just saying the sort of whoa.
There are royal family here on Everything Iconic.
Who are these creatures? And the thing is, what's so interesting to me is I work with some of the same makeup artists. Like, I work with the designers. Like, when they're going to the Prada show, like, that's my friend who's in the show. Like, all these things. But then when I watch them do it, it's so much more insane. Like, that is not how it is for anybody else. They make it totally insane and a spectacle.
Oh, interesting.
Like going to the shows and all that stuff, it's just weird for me because when I watch it, I'm like, this is crazy. And then I'm like, oh, I work with her and I know that person. And I don't know how to explain it.
No, I get it. I realized this last season I was watching it and it felt like they don't ever ask anyone around them questions about their lives. But then I was like, well, they probably do. And it just gets edited out. But
Oh, you mean like
the makeup people, the hair people, it's always them being like, so what do you think about Chris doing this?
I want to be on the record and say this because I want good Kim karma. Every person who I have and I have a lot of people in my life who work with her and in her orbit say that she is like truly the kindest person.
I've heard that too.
Truly curious about people, asks questions, takes time, is very generous and lovely. And I would just like to go on the record as a super fan and say that positive thing about her.
Who do you like the most out of all of the Kardashians? Is there one that Kim? Yeah.
Kim is God.
Yeah.
When she was were they in Miami? When she was in Miami, like waiting, she was sitting down, like editing the photos and like doing the photos or whatever. I was like, you're my God. You're God tier. You're like,
Chloe just wanted to go out and she's like, I'm doing this for you. I love
j'adore. Obsess. Like, thank you, Lord Jesus.
Yeah. I want to get eyes on Rob though. I do feel like we need eyes on Rob.
Sure. For me, if I had endless live stream of just Kim 24/7, that would be my dream. I just want more Kim and Kylie. Love.
I know we're getting in the weeds with this, but what did you make of the Met Ball Marilyn Monroe thing? Because
that was ridiculous. That was the other thing. I'm like, I've been to the Met Ball 3 times now. I was so confused about the whole thing, to be totally honest. I was like, what's going on? I've never heard of even like Rihanna having a changing room there. Like, I've never heard, the thing about the Met Ball too, that's so funny that I think people do know is it doesn't matter how famous you are. Everyone waits in a line to do the carpet. Every single person. So you're standing in line with like the most famous people in the world. And it's kind of weird to see like famous people stand in a line. You're like, oh, you wait in lines? I didn't know. I'm sitting there like, what? Like, anyway, she didn't wait in the line. I'm confused. She
had a whole separate area.
Anyway,
and there was this whole controversy.
I was so confused why she was so obsessed with it and why it was so important to her. Like, if the dress didn't fit, why didn't you just go a different route? It was like she became hyper-focused and hyper-fixated on, is that a word? Yeah. Sorry, again, I'm a little tired.
How do you feel about the theme about Met Gala? Do you think it's important for celebrities to really put a lot of thought into the theme, or do you go with look first?
I love the theme more than anything, but I need people to understand most people don't actually have a huge say in that. It's the designer. So it's also, there's a lot of different cooks in the kitchen. So maybe if you have more power and you're Kim and whatever, and you're not going with a designer and you're invited solo, most people are invited by a designer that was approved by the designer is inviting you, obviously approved by Anna. And then the designer sort of takes the lead. Yes, different designers have different processes, but like sometimes people can be put in situations where you're not dressing the theme, but it really wasn't your choice.
This is blowing my mind. Because I think the criticism is always like, oh, that person didn't understand the theme.
Yeah, that's not, no.
Wow, Zoey, wow.
Yeah.
But that whole thing with the Marilyn Monroe dress is like, it's sitting at Ripley's Believe It or Not in Orlando. Like, I don't think we need to act like it's the most prized possession in the world. Like, not Kim, I'm saying the backlash. I can't believe she wore that dress that, Marilyn Monroe wore. It's like, who cares? It was sitting in a wax museum or whatever. Not a wax. That's a different thing, wax museum, but you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway.
I don't know. The whole thing was very confusing to me. That part I actually didn't like. That was my least favorite storyline of the whole season, was the Nepo storyline. Wow.
So you're not able to get into the Housewives, even though you love seemingly housewife adjacent stuff.
Well, that's the thing. I just need to know. I watched that season with Tins and I was very excited to meet her and talk to her, but then I just haven't, it's just not been, and I do like Bethany Frankel, like just because I see her on TikTok and she's hilarious. I saw her at Jingle Ball, and she was like sitting next to me or whatever, and I was like, "Hi," and my boyfriend was like, "Do you know her?" And she gave me she was like so not interested in, like she was mad at me that I said hello. I was like, "Oh, sorry, not the vibe." I was very.
That sounds right.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh, never mind." I don't know if you know her, but I was shocked actually. It was a not lovely response.
Doesn't shock me, Zoey. Let me just say that, and I will leave it there. It's funny though, because
on TikTok, that's why I was like, oh, I wanted to like say something to her, but I won't again because the message was received that I should never speak to her.
Right. It's funny though that you don't watch Housewives, but I feel like even if you don't watch Housewives, you're sort of tangentially aware of the players. So it's like people know Bethany, and oftentimes when I talk to people who maybe don't watch, it's like they know the players.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is Kathy still on?
Kathy's on Beverly Hills. Yes. The whole Beverly Hills, they're all really good. But I think in terms of starting point, New York used to be my favorite. It was always the best. They had a couple bad seasons recently, but to me, it's just is the best TV, those early seasons. And then Potomac's really good right now. There's a lot.
I watched
it's so
a little
much.
bit of Potomac on the plane, and I thought that it was very riveting. But I love Kathy Hilton. Does Paris ever get on the show?
Paris pops in. Yeah, I think you would like Beverly Hills.
I love Paris so much.
You would like Beverly Hills. Chris pops in too. Kris Jenner pops in on Beverly Hills because she's friends with Kyle Richards and Kathy and all of them. And Beverly Hills, more than the others, has that sort of aspirational, even though the women are definitely not as rich as the Kardashians. I mean, maybe Kathy, but the other women, it's got that kind of vibe where it's glamorous and pretty, and we're watching rich people, and then also some of them are actresses too. So you get a little bit of the Hollywood stuff, and it's
maybe good. It's too. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's. I don't know. I don't know where to start or what to do. Maybe it's too much. Maybe I just need to stick to Love Island. I finally found my safe haven.
You finally you're calling.
I've never been a Bachelor person either.
No, I dipped into the Bachelor world, and people love it, but I couldn't do it. I don't know. I couldn't do it.
Me either.
Yeah, it's a lot. And it just feels I say that as someone who just was talking about how good Housewives is, but Bachelor world seems so backwards to me, like the competing for a man situation. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. I all I know is Love Island should be like mandatory for like if you struggle with anxiety like I do, like it should be like you have to have a dog, you go to therapy, you have to watch Love Island.
I totally agree. Reality TV is a safe haven for all of us. Getting back to movies though, like what are there comfort movies from your past? Like are there rom-coms or something? Like are you like Legally Blonde I don't really consider a rom-com, but that's in that genre. Like what is something that you have to watch all the time?
10 Things I Hate About You.
Okay, yeah.
Just the most incredible movie.
To me, not to interrupt you, I just asked you a question, and I had talked to Katie about this. It's like the audience develops a closer relationship to actors who are in these kinds of movies than they do with something like a Marvel, which I love those movies and everything. But of course, you're becoming as an audience attached to Iron Man or Captain America or whatever, not necessarily the actor. And I feel like with something like Set It Up or something from Tiffany's or 10 Things I Hate About You, or you're becoming attached as an audience to Joseph Gordon-Levitt and the charm of that person, even though they're still playing a character. I just think it's you develop a relationship, and so for me, when I see you in anything else, whether not okay, I thought you were so brilliant, but I'm like, oh, that's my girl. Like, even though that's crazy, but I think as an audience, you're thinking you get that attachment from something like a 10 Things I Hate About You. Then going forward, when I see Julia Stiles, even to this day, I'm like, oh, there's my girl Julia, because I will watch her 100 times in this other movie.
I totally agree with you and have that same feeling with people. You know, there was a quote that really resonated with me, which was, people forget what you say and do, but they'll never forget how you made them feel. And there's it made me think of that quote when you were saying that, because I do think if someone makes you feel good and feel cozy, and, you know, you associate the image of them is associated with that feeling, you carry that, you know? And I totally have that experience with, you know, some of the, you know, these great movies where, gosh, there's so many, you know, but I mean, I feel that way about Reese.
Yeah. And
And
then when you go see Reese in something else, I'm excited to see her.
I'm like rooting
because
for
I
her.
love those movies that she did and continues to do. I mean, I love what Reese is doing. She's so good. Okay, I ask Zoey, all of my guests, these next two questions. Your favorite Mariah Carey song, and if you were choosing for People Magazine Sexiest Man Alive, you can't choose your boyfriend's really hot though too. Are you guys going to get married or anything? Is that a bad question to ask? Inappropriate?
Mariah Carey song. Fuck. God damn it. And I knew I had to do this. And I didn't even, I was going to prepare.
No, it's okay. Just, you can't say All I Want for Christmas, because a lot of guests say that and I get mad. No offense. I love that song. I worship it.
Always be, and maybe that
Always
one.
Be My Baby. That's a good answer.
Touch My Body, no question. Touch My Body is a crazy song.
Oh, God.
That song is insane.
So
is it that?
Yeah, Touch My Body. Yeah.
No, I know. I'm trying to think if it's either Touch My Body. I think it's Always Be My Baby, but Touch My Body is just so beyond bonkers.
Yeah. There's a lyric in All Up in My Business, like a Wendy interview. I just think it's like the best lyric. I think that's from Touch My Body. Okay, Zoey, Sexiest Man Alive. If you were choosing for People Magazine, who would you choose? You can't choose the boyfriend, even though I do find him very, very sexy.
Gosh, it's going to be boring for you. It's the obvious answer, but he is the sexiest man alive.
Your boyfriend?
No. No.
Glenn?
No. Brad Pitt.
Oh, yeah.
He's the sexiest man alive of all time.
Yeah.
Than Paul Newman, more than...
Oh my God. Did you watch the Paul Newman documentary series? It was on HBO.
No, I need to, though. I hear it's great.
Zoey, it's really, really good. Really, really good.
Who's your sexiest man alive?
You know, it flips all the time. I mean, I like a lot of men. Like a lot of dick here on Everything Iconic. No,
Hey, so do I. Hey, so do I.
Channing Tatum really does it for me. Like, I think the way he moves, and he's just seems nice and sweet, but like also like he could really give it to you good. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's extraordinarily attractive for sure.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
But yeah, I think there's an energy that Paul Newman had that energy. Brad Pitt, I feel, has that energy, because some of these actors are very pretty, like very good looking, but don't have like the energy, like, you know, the good sexual energy.
Is Brad Pitt an Aquarius though? I don't know. It's only Aquariuses for me accidentally. But let's see.
What are you? What's your sign?
I'm a double Scorpio, baby.
Interesting. I just saw this thing. It was like
just backed away.
No. I was just thinking, I saw this article literally yesterday or something about Brad Pitt, and it was talking about his ass in the 90s. It's probably on some gay website or something.
You're like,
maybe I just dreamed it up.
Random thing. Like a very deep Reddit dive.
It was someone, it was a message board on Reddit. You're obsessed with Reddit, aren't you? You're like a big Reddit. Am I making that up?
No, I'm definitely not obsessed with Reddit. That would be really funny.
I feel like I just saw something. See, all these things come into my mind and I don't know where they go.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a thing about Brad Pitt in the 90s, and like it was about his butt dimples. I think it was from Fight Club, maybe, where you see like his back butt dimples. You don't even see his butt, but it was like everyone became so obsessed with him just from the butt. Anyway.
Can you imagine how stressful it must be to constantly walk into a room and immediately have to disarm everyone because everyone is just like, your mind is blown by how hot. Like I know people don't generally have a lot of empathy for hot people.
No, but Zoe, I think you're a hot person. I think you are a hot person.
No,
oh my God, Zoe, you're a hot person. Are you kidding me?
Danny, I am not a hot person.
No, you're a hot person.
Okay, I'm not. But imagine being Brad Pitt.
I mean, but Brad Pitt too is like, come on.
I was talking about, I was on the Today Show last week and they were like, Chris Hemsworth was here yesterday. And I was like, oh my God, Chris Hemsworth. Yeah, like he's amazing. What a great actor. Seems like such a nice guy. And they were like, and he was so nice. He held the door for all of us. He was so lovely. And I was like, oh my God, he must have to just constantly be aware of at every given moment, there's multiple people swooning. And I
see Chris. I think Chris
over here raising awareness for hot people.
Oh, I know.
Poor Chris, poor Brad.
And I know I'm going to let you go because I'm keeping you too long. But Chris Hemsworth, to me, he's one of the most just physically beautiful specimens ever. But I need him. I've been saying this for years now. I need him to do a rom-com because I need that charm from him that I don't get from the Marvel stuff. And I love him as Thor and he's so hot and I want to ride on that. But it's like, I need him to give me like a different side. And he's shown that a couple times with like comedy. And I find him sexier when he did like a cameo in the Vacation reboot and Ghostbusters. I think he had a small role in where he's funny, but I need him to do something where he could be charming, like Glenn Powell from Set It Up or Kendrick in this movie. It's like, I'm getting a charm from them that makes me want to love them in a deeper way.
You know what? I have a movie for Chris Hemsworth. I'm gonna think about this. I'm gonna put it in my back pocket.
He would be great in anything. Yeah.
He's so charming.
So if you want another rom-com, I got a rom-com for you too. I got one written if you're ready.
You do?
Yeah. Zoe, I'm going to let you go. I could talk to you forever, but I'm such a humongous fan of your work. Everyone's going to check out Something from Tiffany's on Amazon. It's incredible and it's comforting and it's something I think you can watch with really your whole family. There's like a family element too that we didn't really get to talk about, but I think it's weaved into this movie so beautifully. And I just think parents can watch it with their kids. And also if you want to watch it with your boyfriend or girlfriend or whatever, it's just really comforting and lovely. And I just hope and pray that you keep making these because you are truly the best at it. And I want you to get Glenn back together and do another thing. And it's incredible.
You're the best. Thank you so much for letting me be on your show and your podcast. I hunted you down for this. So I was
so great. I couldn't believe it. I was like, because I loved you and I tried to get you on for the dress and I don't know what happened. Something happened, but so I was so excited
I was very excited. And all my East Coast best friends are deeply in love with you. You should know, like deeply, deeply in love. So
I love them back.
I'm getting some points with the girls.
Oh my God. Tell the girls I said hi. Thank you, Zoe, so much.